Thank you, and welcome to the Tuesday, February 3rd Committee of the Whole for Planning and Public Works. I am your chair, Jessica Forsyth, and in attendance today we have Council President Stewart, Councilmember Parsi, Councilmember Nueva Camina, Councilmember Council Vice President Nueva Camina, Councilmember Procquia, Councilmember Soni, and Councilmember Kritzer. We have 8 items on our agenda today, so we have a lot to get through. The first item is the approval of the 2026 Planning and Public Works Committee Work Plan. I will not be highlighting any items because we have so many items to get through today, but I'm very happy to open it up for questions or items that you all see missing. Councilmember Soni.
The plan definitely looks good. Just one question was, we are talking about the World Cup, but maybe in the last quarter, if we can get a kind of a full update once the World Cup is over, what was the update on everything for that? That would be good.
Got it. We will add a World Cup Q4 update. Thank you. Any others? Council President Stewart.
Thank you so much, and thanks for chairing this committee. Super appreciate that. Couple things I wanted to just note for our new colleagues. The item listed as matrix update is in fact the update on our our process improvement study. I know many council members last week attended an event regarding affordable housing and permitting challenges and that theme overall. We actually, in our last budget cycle, did fund a process improvement study for permitting, and so what you see listed there as matrix is in fact our work on that. So just wanted to make sure everyone knew that. 2 things I was hoping we could have the chair consider adding on to the work plan. The first is bringing forward the paired watershed study. I didn't see that on here, as well as one of the things that council added to the work plan last year, and it's just not come forward yet, just in the scope of the project, but we asked for the 60% design to come back for the 156th shared use path. That was following our conversation regarding tree concerns. Thanks.
Thank you for those flags. Councilmember Kritzer.
Just a couple of things. One is I'm wondering whether we are going to have any items, and apologies if it's embedded in one of these that I missed, where we'll get an update on our new circulator shuttle. Is that on here? I didn't see it on here, but if not, it might be nice to be able to have a touch on this in committee if we're not planning to have a staff report on that as well.
Great. Thank you.
And I think if there is any update as well, I assume we'll get an update on the opening and connecting of the light rail. But, following up, council previously had a subcommittee on flexible transit and solving first last mile, especially thinking about how we connect in with the light rail. And I think it'd be helpful in this committee to be able to hear about anything planning-wise that's happening in terms of updates. I imagine some of that will come with updates following up now that we've done the TMP, but if there are any kind of pieces around kind of more immediate improvements that we're making, it would be great to get some updates here. One question that I had was that I know we also still have an active subcommittee working on tenant protections, and I know that I believe in the Human Services Committee, we did talk about housing, so I wasn't sure where that fits, whether it fits in this committee or whether it should be in the other committee, in the Public Safety Human Services Committee. But I think it would be good for us to carve out some time, so that way I know that subcommittee is still working, and it'd be good to carve out time for us to come back on any work that happens, perhaps in Q2.
Perfect. I will add and get with staff and add these items where appropriate. Thank you. Good flags, y'all. Anything else? All right. Moving right along, we are going to welcome up staff as we talk about acceptance of funds and Overlake area bicycle pedestrian improvements to the CIP. Hello.
Okay, my name is Seraphy Allen, Deputy Director of Planning and Community Development, and planning has the next two items here. So this item is to accept funds and add the Overlake Area Bicycle Pedestrian Improvement Project to the Capital Investment Program, and I'll turn it over to Micah Ross, our Senior Transportation Engineer, to share more.
Great, thank you. So this project has been awarded $8 million from the state legislative action. This is Move Ahead Washington funding. If you noticed in the award letter, $3 million of that total is designated for the 2027-2029 biennium, which requires further legislative approval. We don't anticipate any risks to that. We expect that will be awarded in those years as well. These funds were previously awarded for the 148th Avenue Trail project, which was going to construct a pedestrian bridge across 520. The city has lobbied to change the scope of that project to instead be a shared use path on 148th from 31st Street to 40th, and then bike lane improvements on 36th Street from 148th to the 520 trail. The Finance has let us know that council approval is also needed to remove a project from the CIP. So this memo did not include this request, but based on their feedback, we'd like to include moving forward that removal of the 148th Avenue Trail project be added to this item as it moves to the consent agenda. This will avoid having two projects committed to the same funding in the budget on paper. And then just as a last note, the project has been referred to internally as the Multimodal Overlake Village Access, or MOVA project. So moving forward, we're gonna all try to stick with Overlake Area Bicycle Pedestrian Improvements, since that's what's on the state budget documents, to avoid any confusion. With that, we're looking to go to consent on 217.
Thank you. Council Vice President Nueva Camina.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing this forward. Two quick-ish questions, I suppose. Actually, I'll ask the first and then come back on the second round. For this to go on to consent and needing the other to be removed, does the project that is currently on the books, does that need to be removed before this goes to consent, in conjunction, at the same time? Is one dependent upon the other?
Our understanding from finance is it's just more of a process. It doesn't need to happen one before the other. It's just to make sure that the council budget documents are accurate. So we can both add and remove at the same time.
Wonderful. So then, since that wasn't attached with this at this time, then if that could just be emailed, and then we can go forward with it. Great. Thanks.
Thank you. Other questions? It's fairly straightforward. Council Vice President Nueva Camina.
Tried going around and make sure that everybody had a chance before coming in with my second. For the $3 million of the remaining funding that's designated for 2027-2029 biennium, does that is it just that it requires legislative action from the state, as in flipping a switch, or are the funds contingent upon other funding that we might need to be aware of?
My understanding is that the funds have been programmed in the 2025, 2026, 27, 29 bienniums, and so in their next legislative session, they will approve those funds for those years. So they weren't able, I guess, at the time to dedicate those funds.
I think I would liken it similar to our process, where we have capital dollars available for this funding cycle, and we're showing progress on that. And if we show that, then it would continue in the next budget cycle. But of course, the state also wants to say, funding dependent.
Absolutely. I just wanted to clarify whether or not there was any contingencies attached to it.
Right, okay, yeah. No, there aren't. It's really just more of a formality of the way the budget works.
Thank you.
Council President Stewart, and then Councilmember Kritzer.
Thank you so much. I am happy to see this item move forward. This is an important step in a years-long process now. Thank you for also sharing, especially for our new colleagues, the long story on this, that the city did have a vision of an additional bridge in that commercial crossing, more commercial area in that crossing. This has evolved quite a bit, and is still making the best investments that these dollars can in connectivity for Overlake. I understand the need to, on paper, remove the 148th Trail. That makes a lot of sense. I will just say it is something for the council to continue to just keep an eye on. Again, Overlake is going to be our densest neighborhood. And while there are other bridges and the like for pedestrian and bicycle access, this is the one that's most closely connected to the commercial centers and the ability for folks on one side of the highway to get to grocery stores and things like that in a manner other than their vehicle. So just something for the council to continue to keep an eye on, though understandable that we would need to remove it on paper at this time.
Thank you. Councilmember Stewart, or Kretzer.
Thank you. I just wanted to put on the record, huge thanks to our state legislators for going to bat to getting this funding for us and for helping us to make this change. It was definitely, this is going to be really big for our city. And I would agree with Councilmember Stewart that I hope we can also continue the conversations with Bellevue and be kind of thinking about continued improvements since we had all those visions for the long run in this area. Also, we'll note, I think this map is really clear for the public. Really appreciate the colors, kind of with the red, not daguerreotype or black and white, but very clear. And then also, we'll note that I think it would be helpful for some of our new council members to be able to see some of the connections of this project into some of the existing other planned projects that are near the top of the map. Sure. Or not top of the map, other parts of the map.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no more, I will jump in. Can you just clarify, I can't recall off the top of my head if this project length is about the same as what the one we're removing was, or if it is kind of a different area?
Yeah, the original project was from 24th Street, essentially to where the 520 trail is, just across 520. And the $8 million didn't cover the total cost of that design and construction of a new pedestrian bridge. So that was part of the reason for pivoting here.
Okay. Thank you.
Overall, a longer facility. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you. Any objections to this going on the February 17th consent? All right, seeing none, and assuming we will get that email about the removal, then we are good to move forward. Thank you. Moving on to item 3, award of business district feasibility and formation contract to Uncommon Bridges in the amount of $130,000. And back to Deputy Director Allen.
Thank you. This agenda item is for the approval of the consultant contract to conduct a feasibility analysis on forming a business district organizations in Redmond. As Redmond continues to grow and welcome light rail districts, staff will explore the feasibility of creating place-based organizations to partner with on district branding and activation, business assistance, beautification, and more. I'm joined by Philly Marsh, our Economic Development Manager, who will provide more information, and we also have Dominique here, our Small Business Program Advisor.
Thank you. And thank you, Seraphy, and hello and welcome new council members. Our Economic Development 5-year strategic plan was adopted in 2024 and included a focus area on district development. Strategies in the plan included foster the creation of district organizations that can convene, brand, program, and promote Redmond's unique business districts, develop and disseminate a unique, strongly branded identity for Redmond's business districts, and pair with programming to grow visitation and business attraction, as well as leverage light rail and continue to prioritize planning and resources for key investments in growth centers to reinforce unique identities as vibrant cultural and commercial centers. So in alignment with the implementation of this strategic plan, staff conducted an RFP process for a consultant to explore the feasibility in forming and sustaining business district organizations in Redmond centers of downtown, Overlake, and Marymore. The city received 3 proposals, and Uncommon Bridges was selected by the scoring committee. The total contract is for $130,000 and includes a scope of work in 2 phases. Phase 1 includes research and internal stakeholder education on potential programming and benefits of district organizations, stakeholder engagement and visioning, and preliminary organization mission and budget analysis. The second phase, dependent on the recommendations of Phase 1, would proceed with business improvement district organization and formation. A portion of this work is supported by our Port of Seattle Economic Development Grant because it aligns with their strategies as well. And the Economic Development Division will lead a cross-department core team on this effort. The item is scheduled to move to the February 17th consent agenda if approved by the council. Thanks for your support, and I turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Any questions for the team on this one? Fairly straightforward. Yeah, Councilmember Parsi.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the timing for the project? I saw that in the RFP there, the company who provided the bid shared some concerns about the timeline for the project. So in case the timeline would go longer than we anticipated, do you see any risk involved?
Yeah, so our contract actually extends the second phase to, I think, March of 2027. But in that, we will reevaluate after we're done with phase one. So we're going to get through phase one, see what the findings are, and then be able to reevaluate the right timing for that second phase.
Thank you. Councilmember Kritzer.
Thank you. I'm excited for this project. One thing to put for the outcomes of it, I think it, as always, is helpful as we look at this. And we also have the contract with One Redmond to just identify kind of, as we would scope out what we're going to do here, kind of what would be the scope of one of these business improvement districts, and then how what we might negotiate as part of the kind of contract with One Redmond to be complementary.
Yeah, we'll absolutely do that. I think the thing with business improvement districts too is that it is a defined area, and it's about getting property owners' engagement for that specific site. So it is different work than what One Redmond would be doing already, but there'll absolutely be collaboration, and they'll be a part of engaging how a business district might get stood up.
Wonderful, yeah. And if you can, when you come back with this study and report, if that could be part of it, of just clarifying kind of the unique things that these business improvement districts would bring, I think that'll help us with moving forward as well.
Absolutely, and I want to share too, part of the consultant agreement is to help educate like our internally city staff, and we could have the consultants come to the council and share their experience in helping stand up business improvement districts too, if that was desired by the council.
Yeah, I think it would be. Thank you. Councilmember Soni.
Just out of curiosity, are we going to compare this with any other cities? And, are you taking any benchmarks to compare with?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing that is, we noticed just is missing with Redmond, is many other cities even have like a downtown association in conjunction with their chamber, like One Redmond operates with. And this consultant actually has lots of experience across the kind of Seattle region as well as nationally in working with a lot of different makeups of cities and different scenarios and how best to approach this as well as design the outcomes for it. So that's definitely, those best practices are definitely going to be part of the work that's produced by this contract.
Council Vice President Nueva Camina.
Thank you. And Philly, thank you for that clarification, because often I'll hear from our residents being a little bit confused as far as what's the role of One Redmond as opposed to a Chamber of Commerce, and then now we're doing a business district improvement consulting, so and navigating what is what. So thank you for unpacking that just a little bit. I'm really excited to see what comes of this and how we can learn and grow.
Thank you. I'm also very excited to see what comes of this, and I will share with my colleagues that I had a meeting with some One Redmond folks last week, and they are very excited to see what comes of this as well. So it's going to be a really interesting work product that we get out of this. Any concerns about this going on consent? Okay, seeing none, we will see this on consent on February 17th, and thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have approve a consultant agreement with BHC for the Viewpoint AC water main replacement project. Another water replacement project. Kick it off.
Thank you, Council Member. Chris Stinger, Deputy Director of Utilities and Environmental Programs. Joining me tonight is Shaylee Jane, our Capital Projects Manager, and online Senior Engineer on the utility side, Jeff Thompson. So before we get into this request, I just want to give you some context. Last year, at the end of the year, we cracked open the existing CIP. We noticed there were some stormwater projects that were in the 5 corners of Redmond, weren't really based on condition indexes. So what we did is took a look at an existing project in the CIP that we opened up the ground once for the AC water main in the Viewpoint neighborhood. This project is one of the ones that you have seen in the past that get federal grants on. So we took a look at it, and we had the engineers on the stormwater side take a look at the condition of the stormwater pipes in there. And we found that there were in need of replacement. So the mantra now in Public Works is if we're going to open up the ground, we're going to take a look at the 3 utilities. I call it the Hydra: water, wastewater, and stormwater. So that we're only opening up the ground once, and we're maximizing the benefit of the public funds there. So this project today, Public Works is requesting the aforementioned item to be considered to be placed on the March 3rd consent agenda. This project will replace approximately 6,000 feet of aging asbestos concrete water line, or also known as AC pipe, which is over 50 years old, undersized for current fire flow and prone to breaks, as well as 1,400 feet of structurally deficient stormwater pipe in the same area. Also, this project has ADA curb ramps in the project limits will also be upgraded to meet current accessibility standards. So on this one, staff is requesting the approval of $1.2 million consultant agreement with BHC for design services and authorization to negotiate property rights as needed. Public Works is also requesting an increase in the total funding from $10,555,742 to $12,619,684 to combine water and stormwater work, reducing the impacts to residents and improving overall efficiency. So ensuring this project gets on the agenda will ensure that more reliable water service, improved stormwater infrastructure, and enhanced accessibility for the community happens. And as stated, we're looking for the March 3rd consent agenda and standing by for any questions.
Thank you. Questions from council? Council President Stewart.
Thank you so much, Deputy Director. I just want to clarify, thanks for confirming that there are in fact 3 asks in this memo. And the contract before us is for the 1.2. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the cancellation of other projects still requires a total increase in $2 million of funding for this project? Can you just give us the context there?
So on that, I can give you an estimate. So I want to say there were 3 to 5 stormwater projects that were considered earmarks or placeholders for a combined amount that was over the $2 million asked here. So we worked with finance, and of course, as always, we checked with finance to ensure that those funds were diverted over to these types of projects on there, hopefully that answers.
Sure, so I see, so it's actually moving that $2 million from the other projects into this project.
Correct, the other projects were taken off since we didn't have that condition index or the reliable data. They were more of an opinion-based.
Understood.
Let's spread it to the 5 corners of Redmond, and if something happened, but we've changed our methodology and approach to a more
which I completely
hydro.
appreciate and understand. I was just making sure that I understood the ask. Thank you.
Other questions? Councilmember Procria.
Thank you. Can you speak a little bit more as to the process of understanding the degradation of these pipes? We just got out of a meeting where we talked about ideas for a unified data environment and understanding infrastructure all around the city. And I was just wondering if you could speak to how we actually understand the quality level right now of different wastewater, stormwater, water pipes around the city.
It's a great question, Council Member. So In both the utilities, we have a CCTV program, which is a closed-circuit television. You have one for wastewater. You have to keep the utilities separate because you don't want to have wastewater going into the stormwater and vice versa. And for the actual water main, methodologies that are used are like age of pipe. In this case, we have a little over 52-ish, 53 miles of the AC pipe in Redmond, and we know just based on what's going around in the nation and when those pipes were in there that they're subject to degradation. So on the water side, you're looking more at type of pipe and year of pipe in there, as well as some of the subject matter experts, so even the soil condition, will play in a factor there. Whereas on the stormwater and wastewater side, we'll rely on our CCTV footage, and we're enhancing technology to get a thing called GraniteNet or QNet that does an AI assessment of the pipe on there. So we'll combine that. Now, unlike a sidewalk, you can get hundreds of miles of sidewalk scanned a day. Unfortunately, with pipes, it's very slow and methodical to where you get about 1,200 feet done in a day. So it's with our hundreds of miles of pipe, it's going to take years to get up to a condition where we can feed that, but we're actively working on it, and we're into, I know it's well over the 50% side of what we have categoried.
Thank you. Other questions? All right. Seeing none, I'll jump in with mine. I know these asbestos pipes are a problem throughout the region, and we're seeing a lot of people doing this sort of work, so I appreciate this. Will the memo on March 3rd reflect the overall budget ask for this, or are we keeping it to this kind of like we have in front of us today?
I think we're requesting for the increase to $12 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see that on the March 3rd. Great. Just making sure that everyone knows what we'll be voting on. Okay. And then, you always had me at ADA ramp improvements, so I'm all on board for this, of course, and protecting our water lines. Any concern for this going on the March 3rd consent agenda? All right. Seeing none, we'll see this back on March 3rd. Thank you. Next up, we have approved consultant agreement with Hazen and Sawyer for feasibility and pre-design analysis for PFAS treatment for wells 1 and 2. This is also a consent agenda item for February 17th.
Thank you, Council Member. Still online with me is Jeff Thompson, our Senior Utilities Engineer. And joining me tonight is Ernie Fix, our Water Utilities Manager, and Jessica Atlickson, our Senior Environmental Scientist. So today, we're going to talk about the Public Works requesting an aforementioned ask to be considered to be placed on the February 17th consent agenda. Following recent state and federal updates to PFAS regulations, including the EPA's first ever maximum contaminant levels, or you're hearing the conversation, MCLs, effective 2029, the city anticipates the need for treatment at these wells to meet the new PFAS standard. Staff is requesting approval of a $284,276 consultant agreement with Hazen and Sawyer to conduct a feasibility and pre-design analysis. This analysis will provide direction and preliminary testing for PFAS treatment, forming the framework for future capital projects to design and construct a treatment system. Successful completion will allow the city to continue serving waters from wells 1 and 2 long-term, meeting the regulatory requirements and maintaining supply through the Cascade Water Alliance. I'm going to hand it off to Ernie at this time. He has a few additional bullet points to add.
There we go. Sorry about that. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Council. Yeah, Chris did a great job summarizing this. I know we included the full scope of work and fee information in the Council packet. And I'll just add that staff have been had some great preliminary conversations with the Hazen Sawyer team. And that this project is ready to kick off as soon as the contract is approved. The project is set to wrap up by the end of the year. The funding source for this project is the Water Ending Fund balance. And as Chris mentioned, we're seeking approval of the contract at the February 17th council meeting on the consent agenda. That we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Questions from council? Council Vice President Nueva Camina.
Thank you. During this, I understand that if we don't move forward with this, then it's going to increase how much water that we're purchasing from Cascade. In the interim, while 1 and 2 are kind of offline, and while this is going on for treatment, are we going to need to purchase more water, or is that dependent on a number of things like recharging this year, and we're already dealing with, Deputy Director Stinger and I were talking earlier about the snowpack that we're missing in the Cascades and Olympics. Are we, what is that going to look like? Are we already, so I'm sorry, let me clarify that question. Are we already at risk of needing to purchase more water from Cascade for wells 1 and 2 at this point?
Wells 1 and 2 are still operational at this point, so those are running at full capacity. We're still allowed to operate those based on that 2029 compliance date and at the levels that we're seeing. So we're not at risk there. We just did a pretty significant maintenance project when those wells are running at full production. So right now, no risk there, but we do want to get this going so we can install any treatment system that is needed and achieve that full compliance and not have to shut anything down by that 2029 date.
Wonderful. So just for the listening public that have concerns about this, this treatment we're still below levels, and this is to get ahead of it so that we are, just having integrity with what's going on and what we're finding, and ensure that it doesn't escalate and that we've got a contingency plan in place, correct?
That is correct, council member.
Wonderful.
Other questions? Council President Stewart.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing this back. I'm happy to move forward on the contract and get started on this really important work. I guess I have a couple of questions regarding the situation at a bit higher level. One of them is, when will we be able to say more guidance for the public? This is provide clean drinking water for a number of years has been the #1 response in our annual community survey. And as we all have seen since the staff report, there has been a lot of community feedback and interest in this topic. Folks are wanting to know how they can tell if their home has been impacted and if there's some kind of filtering they should be installing and on those extra things. I do realize that that is not the consultant agreement we have in front of us, and I do support moving forward on this. I guess maybe one question I have is, when might we have more to say that is less about regulatory compliance and more a message to our community about the impacts?
This is an excellent question. So currently right now on our website, if you go to redmond.gov/PFAS, PFAS, there is a link, or there's more information about what you can do in your household if you are concerned about PFAS. What we do is link directly to the Department of Health's website because they're really the experts. We understand water systems and groundwater, but they're the toxicologists, right? They understand health impacts. So I encourage anybody who is interested to visit our website, which will link you to DOH's website.
Okay, thank you. That's a good interim step. And if the chair will allow one more question, how about any progress updates on identifying the source? That has been another question from the public.
Yeah, that, again, a great question. Our detections here in Redmond have been very low level compared to some of our neighbors that, have a fire training facility or something like that right next door. So from all of the data that we've gathered so far, it seems like our detections here are from historic uses or spills. So that points to that we do not have an active source here. One example that I'll give is that when the post office just down the street on 85th was redeveloped, we had records of a storage facility that had fluorine sealant and wax in there with not very great containment system. And so as part of the development review process, we had them soil test, and it came back as detections in the soil. And so we had them clean it up during that process. So it's all indications look like it's small spills and mismanagement over the years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Councilmember Soni and then Councilmember Kritzer.
I'm just curious, and I think it might, my question scope might fall even beyond this current contract. Just in case if the PFAS levels change during this process, what would be the risk associated with our current contract in terms of will they be able to reevaluate or will they be able to adhere to those standards? And as I said, this may expand beyond this current contract, but definitely curious to know about the risk and what would be the guidance.
Yeah, I think I can address this. We're going to continue our quarterly sampling for PFAS, and then through this contract, we'll also do some additional sampling. We've seen very consistent results at these wells and really all over the wells. So we don't expect any major change, but in some of the preliminary conversations with Hazen and Sawyer, they'll be able to address and accommodate any kind of changes that we see throughout the process and work that into their analysis.
Thank you. Councilmember Kritzer.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight, since Councilmember Stewart brought it up, that there is a lot of really good information on the city website. One of the things specifically, since we have gotten this, that I just thought I'd call out under the what can you do about PFAS, it mentions that PFAS can be removed with certain home water filters that use granular activated carbon, like pure Brita filters. So for anyone who's feeling a little nervous, you can get one of those filters, and that's at least something that seems to be helpful. Also noting, since we have heard a lot of community conversation about this, especially because of things like fire foam or other types of things that that have been found to have this, that also a lot of home products like nonstick cookware, carpets, rugs, clothing, cosmetics also have this chemical. So something to just be aware of as you're doing your own home consumption as well.
Thank you for that. All right, seeing no more questions, are any objection to this going to consent on February 17th? Fantastic. We will see this back on February 17th. Thank you for answering the questions. All right, next up, we have, we're going to provide feedback for our study sessions or staff reports. This first one is kind of meaty, so if you have a lot of questions, please just ask maybe one or two here and then email the rest of them to Director Helland, who is here to talk about R22 Overlake Consolidated Land Use Application, and this is a quasi-judicial matter.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Good evening, Presiding Officer Forsyth and council members. So we are here to brief you on the proposed combined project, which includes master plan development, development agreement, binding site plan entitlement, all for a residential project that's located in Overlake, and it is referred to as R22. Alex is here to provide more details, and then we can answer questions, but we are basically taking your comments in preparation for the study session later.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. As Carol mentioned, this item is quasi-judicial, meaning that any communications outside the council meeting must be disclosed and could result in disqualification if there are any objections raised. And this is another Type 5 consolidated application, as we saw at the study session last week, so similar type of proposal. This one, being referred to as R22, contains a master plan, development agreement, a binding site plan, which essentially subdivides the lot from one legal lot to two legal lots, and then two site plan entitlements. So the entitlement of one building on each lot. So all of that together would consist of a proposal for 8-story mixed-use residential development, and across the entire site up to 800 residential units and up to 8,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space. This is at 3050 152nd Avenue Northeast. It's also referred to as Microsoft Building 22. And it's just across the street from the Overlake Village Light Rail Station and just north of the Overlake Commons project that we discussed at last week's study session. So the next steps for this project proposal would be to return at the February 24th study session. Following that, the public hearing and potential council action would be scheduled for March 17th. So I'm happy to take any questions at this time to be addressed at the study session. And as mentioned, if there are questions that you'd like to ask following the meeting, please feel free to email those to Director Helland. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for the study session? Anyone want to jump in and go ahead and ask your questions? Feel free to also email them before, what would be the deadline?
February 10th, so a week from today would be great.
Great. So you have a little time if you have more questions. Council President Stewart, I saw you maybe wanting to raise your hand.
Maybe we can have this confirmed, but it looks to me like this might be one of our first projects to take advantage of the new overlake incentives in Redmond 2050. It looks like of the 800 homes, more than 100 of them will be for families with an income of about 50% of the area median income. And I can't wait to talk more about that and see these homes built. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Council Vice President Nueva Camina.
Thank you. Not a question, more of a shout out to the community members that participated in giving public feedback. It's a beautiful, if you are listening and you're following along, please do look inside of the packet where you're going to find the questions that were asked by the public, by the community, have all been answered in a way that is very accessible. So thank you to the public that participated in this, and thank you, staff.
Thank you. Councilmember Kritzer.
Thank you. I'd say in terms of things I'm most interested in covering during the study session are the incentives, exceptions, and administrative design flexibility.
Thank you. Jump in with mine. I'm curious if the current bill that is in the House would have any impact on the potential ground floor retail, if that would have any impact. I'm guessing no, since this is under current code.
Sure, I can just answer that question briefly, but no, it would not, because the development agreement will vest before that bill will go into effect. So the development agreement is a contract, and so we have to respect that contract.
Thank you. Any other questions for study session? And feel free to email any more that pop up for you to Director Helland by February 10th, end of day. Okay. I assume you will get more questions later. So, seeing no more questions, we will move on to the second item in our study session feedback loop here, which is the state of the utilities and investment drivers. Chris Stenger is joining us again.
Hello again, Council. Joining me is Amanda Balzer, our Policy and Program Advisor, and today Public Works is providing a brief overview for the aforementioned item scheduled for the March 3rd staff report. Finance is in the process of evaluating utility cost of service and rate requirements ahead of the budget, so Public Works is supporting that effort through identifying investment needs for the utilities to maintain reliable service. So I'll hand it over to Amanda. She's going to give you some details on the state of the utilities.
All right, good evening. So on March 3rd, I'll be providing a staff report on the overview of the state of the utilities and also investment drivers. So this will be a series of presentations for Public Works, and in your packet, there's an attachment to the memo that kind of shows that series. It'll be informational briefings from Public Works, and those presentations will complement the touches from finance ahead of the budget. The first one on March 3rd, that staff report, will be a high-level overview of the state of the water, wastewater, and stormwater utility systems. And really, you'll see that we're facing the same challenges as other utilities. We have aging infrastructure, increasing regulatory requirements, and rising operational costs. In April and May, we'll do deeper dives in the study sessions. So in April, we'll talk about the water utility trends leading to investment needs. Spoiler alert, you already heard about the PFAS feasibility work that's coming to council in February. Those will be things that will lead to future investments for the water utility. And in May, we'll talk about wastewater and stormwater utility trends leading to those investment needs. Redmond is a relatively young city. As our system ages, we will to continue to deliver reliable services at a good value. The utilities will need a holistically strategic plan for generational investments to maintain our system and leverage multiple benefits. So these deep dive sessions will help give you a better context ahead of the finance presentations. If you have items, questions, or items you want to hear about in those presentations, please email Director Burt ahead of those meetings.
Thank you. Any questions? Appreciate this preview, especially the timeline as we gear up for budgeting, and it'll be nice to have those touch points so that we can see how it intertwines. One last chance? Okay. Thank you so much. We'll see you for that staff report on March 3rd. Last item on our agenda, good job you guys keeping us on track. We have the Evans Creek relocation project update, and I know there's going to be some conversation here because we love Evans Creek. We do love Evans Creek.
I think the water's still out on that, but we'll see. All right. Council members, good evening. Aaron Burt, Public Works Director. We'll be coming to council with an update on our negotiations and actions with King County on the permitting to get this project up and running. As you're aware, this project's been delayed, moving to construction for about the past 2 years because of complications relating to permitting both at the federal level and at the county level. Fortunately for us, it seems that we've been able to make a breakthrough with King County. And I actually have a meeting on Friday with the regulators, Local Services and Water and Land Resources Division, where we'll have a definitive update on where they're at with the permitting process. So at the staff report, I'll be able to give a larger update at that time. The intent as well of the staff report is to provide some background information on the benefits of this project for the 3 new council members as well. Happy to field any questions now or take notes for the staff report.
Thank you. Councilmember questions for the staff report on February 17th. Council President Stewart.
Sure. Actually, this might not be for the staff report. Just I would like a little more clarity on the meeting that is this Friday. I didn't understand what the hope is. What's the answer we're looking for on Friday?
So we've been in some deep discussions with King County, the regulatory agency there at Local Services and Water and Land Resources Division to unpack really the sequencing of the different or the myriad permits that we need from the county in order to push this forward. This project, the county has never permitted a project like this before, where we're talking about creating a new stream channel. So the county has concerns about risk of a new floodway being created on county property. So that's been one of the sticking points. Additionally, they're applying components of their code to this project that deal with, for example, road standards, and not necessarily where we're coming from, where we're looking to build overpass bridges as part of this project that are a trail, but they're using road standard bridges. So that ties into clearance for flood events, for example. And so we've been working through these technical details, a team, a couple of rockstar project managers out of the Capital Division are the ones that have really dug into the details as we're trying to work through the county to get them to see our point and for us to be able to come to some sort of compromise so we can continue to move this forward.
Thank you. Council VP Nueva Camina.
Thank you. Thanks, Director Burt, for the update on the meeting coming up on Friday. I don't recall if that was in the packet, but I do remember a construction year date of 2027. Was how, of course, that's going to push it back if Friday's meeting doesn't go well. But was Friday's meeting already known for that 2027 date? Could it be sooner than 2027?
No. what I would say is if we can get the clarity on the permitting component, get the permits issued here by the spring, we can go out for bid in the summer, in the fall, get the contractor on board, and then it would be construction in the construction window in '27.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kritzer.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on this, because I think one of the factors that seemed to lengthen the window was also getting the county council's approval. But it sounds like with the timing here, even if we were able to shorten the window on the county council approval, which I saw in that Mayor Bernie is trying to work with the executive on that, we still probably wouldn't have that work out given the other types of permitting that's in the process?
Yeah, there is a component there of a maintenance and operation agreement that outlines the duties and responsibilities between the two parties for the maintenance and care of this project going forward. Mayor Bernie has reached out to the county executive. I've been in contact with Councilmember Perry's office about what would that process be to get the maintenance and operation agreement through King County, because the city council here would need to sign that as well. And the commitment that we've gotten is that it'd probably be about a 2-month process at the county to get that. So that's a component where we're still working some of the finer details, but legislative action would be needed on this.
Great, thank you. And I would just say maybe we can discuss this at your presentation, but if there's anything our council might do to send a message to Councilmember Perry, given that she represents Redmond.
She's fully on board.
In addition, yeah, just like add our support, we can discuss that.
Yep.
Also, I was just going to say, it would be helpful when you do your presentation, if you could dive in a little bit to give us additional clarity on this conversation around risk and, what are the mitigation measures that we're proposing and why our city believes that it is lower level of risk, especially around flooding and erosion risks. So I think if you had a slide or something you could add on that for us to understand kind of what's the county, because I think when we get into these conversations with county folks, it'd be helpful for us to know what the city's kind of clear position on this is as part of that presentation.
Sure, you bet.
Thank you. Adding on to that comment, thank you for flagging that the county is looking for us to build basically roads for bridges instead of pedestrian bridges. So if we could even have just a ballpark cost differential in that staff report, so that when we talk to community and when we talk to folks at the county, we can also have that number at the ready as to why this is so important to get that change.
I think, Council Member, what I should clarify is that was their starting position, and what we've been and that was one of the reasons why there was difficulty for us to get to this point, to be able to have the same conversation about understanding the standards that they were looking to apply on this project and actually what we were proposing. And so there's a technical component where we're looking at potential adjustment of the mapping of the floodway that would give us some ability to have a little bit more flexibility to say, actually, no, where we see the floodplain being, we don't need that 3-foot clearance, we can get by with 1. So those are the kind of things that we're working through.
Thank you for the clarity on that. Appreciate it. Any other questions on this? Councilmember Parsi.
Can I ask you if there is any potential impact on drinking water quality if there is a change in path of Evans Creek?
No, it's not factored into any of the areas where we draw our drinking water.
Great question. Councilmember Procria.
Thank you. I was wondering, given the current anticipated cost overrun, if you could speak to the likelihood of getting...
Can you be a little closer to your microphone? Thank you.
If you could speak to the likelihood of getting the funds, the additional funds from the Flood Control District and the King Conservation District.
We're not necessarily, I think there is probably a component, and I'll double check and I'll make sure that we have this correct. I think KCD the Flood Control District has provided some funding on this. There's so many different funding streams that have been put into this, state money and so forth. But the cost overruns right now, we are assuming that we will be funding out of Redmond dollars for this. That we have capacity within our CIP to absorb additional dollars on this. But right now, basically, every year that we delay, we're factoring in about $1 million cost increase on this. So it's been delayed 2 years, it's going to be a $2 million increase. But that's the high-level calculation. Once we get the permits in hand and we're able to get to that final component to where we go out to bid with the bid package, I am expecting this to come in lower than that amount.
Thank you. Councilmember Soni, did I see your hand?
Yeah, I was about to ask the same question that Councilmember Prakri asked.
Great, thank you. Any other questions on this? Councilmember Parsi?
Sorry if this was asked before, but when we do get the updates next time, if you could have a timeline with the total spent and how much money we expect to spend in total, that would be helpful because I haven't seen a lot of information on that end. Given that I'm new, it would be helpful to see the total amount.
Thank you. Yeah, a refresher would be good since this project has been going on for a long time and there's a lot of us that know it and we have 3 new colleagues.
15 years.
15 years? Wow. All right, so don't feel bad. There's a lot behind this that outlasts all of us. All right. Any other questions on this item? Okay, seeing none. I did not ask for consent approval for our work plan for this committee. If I get all of those items added either to this committee or if they belong in another committee, are we good to see that on consent for February 17th? Thank you for that. Sorry about that. All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Thanks for keeping us tight and on time, and we are adjourned.